Okay, so I am inside of this Ram Rebel GT, and one thing that's kind of always been a little crazy to me about Ram trucks is that regardless of the package you get it in, they're all really comfortable. From the seats to the suspension, everything's just really dialed in and it feels really good. So we're going to take this truck around the yard and go over some of these little mounds and hills and stuff and see how it feels. So hang tight, I'll be right back. All right. Yes, I buckle up even though I'm just driving around the yard. And like I said, these trucks are all super comfy. The suspension is so dialed in and so refined. Everything's dampened really, really well. And this truck has almost 9,000 miles on it. And it's a press vehicle, which means people don't treat this truck very well. You can tell from the outside with some of the scarring that's on it that it certainly had a pretty hard 9,000 mile life so far. Now I can tell you that it's not quite as smooth as the Limited, but it still feels really good. You know, it actually feels kind of similar to that Nissan Titan I recently reviewed. They both feel really tight. This truck certainly feels like it's a bit heavier. I'm not sure if it actually is heavier, it just has kind of that feel to it. And I like to go over this spot right over here. It's dampened really well. Feels good. Seats feel really good. All right, so this is that little mound I like to tell you guys about. I'm going to go at it at as much of an angle as I can so you guys can actually see it's a mound, because right now I'm at a pretty steep angle. I'd probably say I'm hovering around probably 30 degrees. And yeah, just so you guys know, there is really a mound here. It's not just me, you know, saying that, because when you look at it on camera, it doesn't really look like much. I need to actually build out a little bit of an obstacle course here. Make something a little bit more formal. Put a twist stitch in. Try to stress these trucks out a little bit more when I'm reviewing them. It'd be cool to put like a wall that has like a 45-degree incline going up it. Or at least a little hill. But no, it's a really nice riding truck. Another hill to go up. Okay, so now we're behind the wheel on regular roads, about to get onto an expressway in this 2022 Ram Rebel 1500 GT package. Now, I've read somewhere that some folks believe this is kind of like a poor man's Rebel. But the reality is, at $71,000 and change, this is certainly a far cry from being a poor man's anything. You know, when you look at what this truck comes equipped with, some of the features that it has and some of the features that it doesn't have, you instantly realize that with this package, they're giving you things that you may want, while at the same time, if you don't need or don't care about certain features, you can opt not to have them. I find it really hard to believe that you can't get this with a 360-degree camera if you really want one. Now, all that said, this truck sounds amazing. It's got cold air intake up front. It's got nice exhaust in the back. You know, it's got a big beefy Hemi V8 inside of it with e-torque. It's just really nice. It's got air ride suspension. I can raise and lower the suspension from inside of the cab, which on a package like this can actually come in really handy if you plan on doing any type of serious off-roading. Also understanding that this is not designed to compete against, you know, really custom one-off off-road vehicles. This is an off-road package, and I'm sure it can certainly handle itself in off-road situations, but, you know, just understand what your limitations may be. Now, that's an area where not having running boards might be something that's good for some folks. The challenge, though, is I think for the everyday person hopping in this vehicle, especially if you have a family, small kids or someone who might not be that tall, hopping inside of this truck certainly isn't something that's going to be relatively easy. You know, so opting to have running boards on this truck can certainly make some people really happy. But again, if you're going to be doing off-roading with this, if you're going to use this as kind of like an overland vehicle, or if that's what your intent is, then, you know, running boards on the side might just be something else to get caught up on something or damaged. Maybe rock sliders might be a better type, or perhaps like a pre-runner style running board on the side where it's mainly bars with some small foot areas for you to climb in, because those do still help get you in the truck. You know, I still believe Ram has probably one of the most beautifully laid out interiors of any truck I've been in. Ford, Toyota, Nissan, and GM are all definitely making huge strides in terms of their interior, and many of them are going for more of that horizontal wide view, whereas, you know, the Ram still kind of focuses on that vertical view, the 12-inch display also kind of providing you that vertical view. But when you look at some of the vehicles that are also manufactured by FCA, it wouldn't surprise me if the next evolution of the Ram interior is horizontally laid out, not vertically laid out. I still like how it gives you so much quick access to everything you're looking for. This does not have power telescoping or tilting steering wheel, but you can telescope and tilt the wheel if you want manually. It's just not a power system. The gauge cluster on this looks absolutely beautiful. Take a look at my interior video that I did if you want to see more details around all of that. And it's an interesting truck because I keep finding things that kind of surprise me that this truck has. And, you know, like I said, the air ride suspension, the ability to raise or lower the suspension, that was one that I did not think this truck would come equipped with, but it did. Also, all the push-button four-wheel drive options, four-wheel auto button, which is an auto-engaging four-wheel drive system. You know, axle lock, this has a rear locking differential. You have downhill assist, of course. Just a lot of great features. There are some buttons missing up top above the navigation that flank each side of your flashers button. One of those, I believe, is probably your 360-degree camera if you had it, and the other one is probably like a safety feature, like lane keeping, one of those features, because, yeah, there's just two blanks up there. I'm not sure what they are. But all of the bottom paddle buttons are all labeled, so there's not any feature missing from down below, and that consists of your front and rear parking sensors, tow haul mode, traction control, and your ride height adjustment. I love the placement of the trailer brake controller. Absolutely love it. My hand right now is resting on the center console. My arm is kind of draped over the shifter, and my fingers are just at that level where they're perfectly positioned to engage trailer brake controls if I need to. Why is that important? It's because trailer brake controls are one of those features that if you tow a lot are absolutely needed in a convenient area. Because once you start to feel any type of a sway situation, to be able to keep your hand hovering over that trailer brake controller and manually slide to engage your trailer brakes while a sway situation is occurring, especially if it's a prolonged sway situation on the expressway or the interstate, you can just gradually increase brake pressure on your trailer, which in most cases will help pull it back in line so it doesn't start going crazy. Essentially, it's like creating that anchor point in the back to help mitigate sway. And, you know, a lot of folks don't realize when sway starts occurring that you can somewhat take control of that situation with your trailer brakes versus trying to speed up or slow down or take any type of evasive maneuver with the vehicle itself, all of which could put you in a potentially dangerous situation. Now, power-wise, first of all, the truck sounds, again, it's absolutely beautiful the way this Hemi sounds. Power-wise, it is not lacking any power whatsoever. This is one of those trucks that, you know, with the amount of horsepower and torque you're getting on these new vehicles, you know, even though there are some brands that will give you more and there's some brands that'll give you less, the fact is this gives you exactly, I think, what you would expect in this power plant. It doesn't feel like it's lacking at all. You know, driving dynamics over the road, super smooth. Takes bumps really, really well. It definitely leans a little bit more on the off-road aggressive side in terms of how the suspension feels, but it's not bad. It doesn't feel bad at all, and it doesn't feel overly squishy. You know, some off-road inspired vehicles have a very soft suspension. Toyota is an example of that with their TRD Pro. Very off-road suspension oriented, but at the same time it feels a little squishy at times. The TRX feels that way. The Raptor feels that way. But this truck feels nice and soft, but at the same time compliant and a bit on the firm side, which is nice. All right, so a few pieces of feedback about this truck. I like how it rides. I like the comfort. I like how it handles. I love the aggressive look to it. I like the Rebel package, the GT package. I like all of that stuff. I like the fact that it has the e-torque Hemi in it, the power, horsepower, all that stuff is really nice. So overall, from an exterior perspective, interior perspective, I like the overall look. I do miss the running boards. Now, I know some folks with an off-road package don't want running boards because of the chances of damaging them going over certain types of terrain, but getting in and out of the truck for me and my family, they come in really, really easy, especially for my wife to get inside, for, you know, my younger kids to get inside of the truck. It's so much easier when you have running boards. So that is certainly a feature that I would add to this package. Also, 360-degree camera. Now, is it needed? No, you have a backup camera. You also have a rear view mirror camera. With the 12-inch screen and all the technology that you already get, it almost seems as if it should be standard with that package. That's really where I think it's needed. And that's why it's needed, is because, again, you're paying for a luxury package. You're paying for a lot of really nice stuff. Just to omit a piece of technology that really goes well with that 12-inch Uconnect screen, I think doesn't make a lot of sense. So a surround camera on this truck would have absolutely been a greatly appreciated feature to add along with the running boards. Aside from that, there's not really much that this truck is missing. Now, by adding the cameras, that's not going to add much weight to the truck, but certainly the running boards would, which would mean it would decrease from the payload capacity even more. That being said, I do think the step sides are needed, though, you know, for me. But everything else this truck has. This truck has just about every other feature you might be looking for. I can't really think of one that it doesn't have. Again, it's equipped very, very well. It's very much, you know, like a Laramie, a Longhorn, or even a Limited in terms of a lot of the amenities that this truck has. It's just missing those two. And it's kind of a weird package for me to see everything that it has minus those two obvious features that I think it should have. Aside from that, though, the only other critique I have of this truck is the center console. I do miss that sliding center console so I can have that extra storage capacity. Because if you think about it, shifting is something that happens, but it only happens when you first get in the truck and when you get out of the truck, or maybe if you're stopped somewhere. It's not necessarily something where you have to keep your hand on the shifter the entire time. Having storage space, utility, stuff like that, that stuff can help you all the time. At the end of the day, though, I think this is a really cool truck. Trucks are getting so expensive. $71,000 MSRP on this truck. You know, it's a bit high, to be honest. However, with what you get in this truck compared to what else is out there, it's probably pretty much on par with what else is out there. So, you know, it's not as if you're going to be paying for a Ram Rebel GT package and you're going to be getting so much more or so much less than some of the competing trucks with similar packages. Whether you're a Ford fan, whether you're a General Motors fan, whether you're a Toyota fan or Nissan fan, Ram has actually been topping the charts in terms of long-term reliability. And there's a lot to be said about that, because for some people that was the thing that kind of pushed them away from Ram. And if you are looking at Rams today, you really can't look at Rams today and compare them to Rams of 10, 15, 20 years ago, because these trucks are entirely different and they're far more reliable in terms of rankings than they've ever been. So that's always a good thing. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed these videos. Really like the truck. We're going to try to do some more things with it. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.